When opposition MP Dr. Clarice Modeste Cohen and her boss Dr. Keith Mitchell gleefully popularized the phrase "Where did he day" in an attempt to discredit the experience credentials of some of the neophyte NDC candidates in the last election, one might not have imagined that this mantra would now be weaponized against the leadership of the Grenada Public Workers Union with a targeted smear campaign against Daisy Hazard and Brian Grimes. Some apologists of the National Democratic Congress, a party and administration whose election campaign mantra was steeped in Christian dogma, from their crusade like political meetings to their election eve prayer vigils to the army of prayer warriors, are seemingly out for blood, demonizing any and anyone who dare speak in opposition to their dear leader's transformational agenda. This out for blood revenge campaign by some of their apologists seems to go against the Christian mantra. It certainly doesn't comport with the values of the Christian society that Grenada prides itself as being. A few months ago, people were up in arms over the demonization of MP-elect Andy Williams over his past, with calls by some to forgive the politician for his transgressions, as any good Christian society should do. I wonder if some of these NDC apologists, who are now using their political influence to attempt to decapitate the leadership of the union, to ostensibly install people who are sympathetic to their administration's cause, have read the biblical book of Romans chapter 12, verses 17 to 19, which says, quote, "Repay no evil for evil. Have regard for good things in the sight of all men. If possible, as much as it depends on you, live peaceably with all men. Beloved, do not avenge yourselves, but rather give place to wrath, for it is written, 'Vengeance is mine, I will repay, says the Lord.'" Unquote. I hold no water for Mr. Grimes or the Public Workers Union. Still, in the era of NDC 3.0, there is an attempt to engage in the business of revisionist history, suggesting that Grimes, Hazard, and the leadership of the union have done absolutely nothing in the past to advocate on behalf of their workers and attempt to make changes to the systemic issues plaguing the service, such as the quasi-permanence of seasonal employees whose tenure depends on the pleasure of whatever government is in power at the time. The new executive of the PWU was only elected on the 17th of March last year. So, what has Mr. Grimes and the union been up to, they say? During the height of the COVID-19 pandemic in Grenada, Grimes and co. opposed vaccine mandates, as this clip would show.
We have a categorical stance on the rights of the individual and the rights of the worker to decide what goes in his or her body. That is fundamental.
In 2020, when he served as the public relations officer of the union, Grimes and his team addressed occupational health and safety issues at the General Hospital under its then president, Rachel Roberts.
A number of workers are forced to function in environments that pose an imminent danger to them, and they are intimidated because they feel if they stand up or they stand outside in relation to that, their jobs may be at stake. What kind of country are we in if a worker protected by the Labor Code under the Employment Act decides to utilize his or her legal rights and literally has to wonder if there will be repercussions that will prevent him or her from earning bread, earning a living?
In 2017, Grimes, as the public relations officer of the union again, was at the forefront of negotiating wage increases for public officers, which led to the protracted 4% protests in the country.
The union being very crafty, very innovative and very creative, we would have came up with 4 proposals, permutations, to give them an option as to choose one. The Minister of Labour has until Tuesday, midday, to submit a response to those 4 proposals that we gave on the spot. So we await at this point in time. So that's where we are. And what the unions have to do, we have to weigh our options. We have many options in terms of industrial action or whatever it is. We have to consider all of these things going forward. But we prefer, in all honesty, industrial peace. But based on what is happening now, it seems as though the government is taking public officers for granted. So we are trying to weigh our options, and when that time comes, we will fulfill those options as best as we can.
Also in 2017, Grimes spoke out against dismissing casual workers, the same issue that has found him out of favor with sympathizers of the ruling administration, as this extended clip from an MTV News report in early 2017 demonstrates.
The misuse of contract work within the system. That's according to the Public Relations Officer of the Public Workers Union, Brian Grimes. According to Grimes, this is a practice that the unions are dissatisfied with, saying that the issue of contract work will not be taken lightly going forward. He says there are many options the union can use to remedy the issue of contract work in the public service as well as at privately owned companies of the workers they represent.
Prior to the election that just went, national elections, public officers were asked or even forced to sign contracts to maintain their standard of living or just to have some form of income coming in. They signed. A lot of the contracts took them up to early 2019, right? The contract took them up to that time, yet we see there are letters of termination being issued to those same people who got those contracts.
The Public Relations Officer went on to say that there are situations where workers on contracts are being terminated without just dues before contract expiry.
The letters of termination did not come with any warning, any misbehavior by the individuals, but they were just told in an ad hoc manner that they no longer are needed. Thank you for your services. And this is quite unfortunate. We have a situation basically where within the halls of the public service, the tiers of the working class is falling because people's standard of living are being eroded. You have situations where people in power, because of the contract mechanism, can simply say, hey, I do not like you. Even though you are productive, I do not like your personality, I do not like certain aspects about you, and prevent you from making a living or enjoying your profession. So we see this as very, very serious.
These reports also do not consider the union's historic pensions lawsuit, which they brought against the state of Grenada in tandem with the Grenada Union of Teachers and the Technical and Allied Workers Union. The case sought to guarantee that all workers who retired from the Grenada Public Service as of 1985, as well as future retirees, will receive their due pension and gratuity payments on retirement from the public sector. So to suggest that Grimes and his leadership at the Public Workers Union have been sitting on their laurels and doing absolutely nothing on behalf of their workers is simply inaccurate. Now, it may very well be the case that some in the union would prefer to see the return of its former president, Ms. Rachel Roberts, at the helm. But that is a decision for the union and the union's membership to make on its own terms without any undue political influence from those who support the Deacon Mitchell administration. Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell himself called for a period of industrial peace in the country following the announcement of the repayment of docked salaries to teachers. We here at the Bub Report echo this sentiment and call for the vicious cycle of revenge politics to end in the interest of national development. Hi everyone, thanks for checking out the Bub Report's social media pages. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch our weekly live show, follow our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram pages, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can catch repeat episodes on Wednesdays at 4 and 5 p.m. respectively on CRFM Radio and GBN TV in Grenada. We are also viewed on Sundays at 8 p.m. on WPG 10 throughout the Caribbean. Thanks for watching.